going to turn the program over to Michael McGlade, and now you're going to experience some Moodle mania, or hopefully Moodle magic. Thank you, Michael.
Thank you very much. Thank you all for coming. I know it's been said, but I don't think you can say that enough. We're all marveling at what a big group this is. This is, I think, this is such a large group, a really great turnout, and I know it's because it's me. So thank you for that. I appreciate that. Thanks. We're going to start, actually, if Ms. Rox, if you could strike for me. I'm sure you all came with a question. I'm sure you all came with something you really want to know. Not just about Moodle, but maybe something specific. And we've already had a couple of questions. One was Skyward versus Moodle. What's the difference? Why are we not using that? Why are we using that issue? So Skyward versus Moodle, so that's something I'll talk about. There was also a question, about sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't work, from home, and it's slow, and those kind of things. So I'm going to talk a little bit about how you can make the most of your Moodle experience. Other questions? I'll take maybe 3 from the floor. Things that you're just dying to know about Moodle or me. Yes?
There's inconsistencies on teachers who are using it or not using it. When can we expect that all teachers have?
Excellent question. I'm not sure if I would write inconsistencies, but expectations and uniformity and those kind of issues. So yeah, good question. This is a new. One thing I will say about that before we get into this is Moodle's new for us, just as it's new for your children and new for you. And so we're learning this. We started looking at it last year, and I'll explain why in a second. And so this is very new for teachers. And for some teachers, they're using it a whole lot because they know it, and some teachers are just learning it. But we'll talk about that and address that. Any other 2 more? Yes? I don't know if that's a Moodle question, but it's a good question about progress reports. Okay. I think part of that answer is in the Skyward versus Moodle question, so maybe some clarification here. Okay? Yes? Mm. Right. Mm-hmm. Okay. Navigating our suggestions to clean up. A good question. Yeah. All right. And the reason we have the computers here is I have a little bit to present, a little thing to show, a video that I would like you to watch, and then we're going to have some time to actually for you to get in and look. Raise your hand if you're still not in the Moodle. Just sitting here right now, your computer has not logged into Moodle. Just a show of hands. They may have gone to sleep, but they're not off. If you just sort of push the space key or something, they'll wake up. If Francis and Josiane, if you could just sort of circulate those people who have their hands up, and they'll come by. I'll help you out. Okay? Yep. Okay. So, and again, the reason we had the computers here today was to make sure that you can log in. So that's one thing we wanted to take care of. So if you haven't had a chance or you don't have a computer in front of you, before you leave today, we'll get you logged in. Okay? Yep, that's just raise your hand and somebody will come by. Okay? Yep, okay. So this table. So Francis, Josiane, when you have a second, if this front table here. Okay. I thank you in advance for your patience. Having this many computers in one room is a little scary. And our network, I'm hopeful, but anyway. All right, so firstly, what is Moodle? And I want to start by showing a video. And this video is, This video is on our website. So I'm just going to play it for you here. Okay, so, and I'm gonna talk a bit. It doesn't have, it has some music, but I'm gonna talk. So exactly what is Moodle? Moodle is a piece of software that, and it's an acronym. Moodle stands for Modular Object-Oriented Dynamic Learning Environment, and that's a little long-winded to say, so we say Moodle. And what it is a platform. It's a software platform that is on the internet, and it is used for learning environments. Okay, so many universities use Moodle, and it is free, and that's one of the reasons that many universities have started using it. And it allows teachers and students to come together and collaborate around learning. And so I guess the short answer to the Skyward versus Moodle question is in there. I'll pause that for just a second. That Skyward is our information system. So at the school, we have every student and every parent, phone number, name, birth date, every bit of information that we have about students, what class they're in, what teachers they have, what their schedule is. That's all contained in Skyward, and Skyward is very good at that. Skyward is also very good at connecting teachers to parents, because you can log into Skyward and you can see the information that the teachers want to share with you, their progress reports and their report cards, and you can even click on their names and you can send them a message and they can send you a message through Skyward. So that's what Skyward is, that's what it's really good at, and that's what it's for. But it's not a learning environment. It's not a place where teachers can put interactive activities. It's not a place where teachers can post videos that will help students understand concepts. But Moodle is. It's also not a place, or Skyward is not it's not software that schools use as a learning environment. So if any of you were here last year, or years before that, we used to use a program called Blackboard. And Blackboard was used by all the schools in this region, the NISA schools, as their online learning environment in case we had to close. So in an emergency, if the school has to close, we have an online tool so students can keep learning. Okay, and that used to be Blackboard. But last year, we did close. We closed for 2 weeks in the middle high school and 3 weeks in the elementary. And during that time, we used Blackboard full on. And all the other NISA, well, not all the NISA schools, but many of them also closed. And our experience was very similar, where Blackboard really wasn't a great tool for online learning. It's okay, but it wasn't necessarily the best. So last year, the NISA schools got together, and all the tech directors, we looked at Blackboard, and we looked at Moodle, and we compared them, and we said that Moodle would probably be a better way to do online learning. So all the NISA schools agreed that we would adopt Moodle as our online learning platform. So if Azar has to close for H1N1 or for any reason at all, Moodle would be our online learning environment. So one of the reasons that we were trying to use it day to day is so that we don't experience what happened last year, which was all of a sudden we were closed and nobody knew what to do. Nobody knew what Blackboard was, nobody knew how to get in. Now, at least if we're using Moodle daily, one of the benefits is that we all know how to get in, we all know how it works, and then if we have to close, it's just like we're turning it up a little bit and making it a little more serious. But we don't encounter all the problems that we had last year. So, and Skyward doesn't do that, and that's sort of the short answer to that. Skyward is not a learning environment. It's a communication tool, it's a great way to check grades, it's a great way to send messages, but it's not a great way, it's not a learning tool. Whereas Moodle is, and I think that what I would like to show you today are some of the ways that Moodle can and is being used already by teachers to encourage learning outside the classroom. Okay, I'm going to keep going with this video. So that also means that Skyward's not going away. We're not getting rid of Skyward because we still need a tool to keep all that information. We still need a tool to do report cards. We still need a tool to communicate that the grading, the reporting, we still need a way to give that to you. And maybe you're thinking in your head, well, what about Moodle? Doesn't Moodle do that? No, Moodle doesn't do that. Moodle doesn't contain all the phone numbers and emergency contacts and all that stuff. It's just a learning platform. Moodle is very widely used around the world, and as I said before, a lot of universities are using it. And this is another thing, is one of the things we've been thinking about is how do we prepare kids? How do we prepare your kids to graduate from Azar and go off to university? Well, chances are, it's almost 100% now, they will have to take at least one online course, fully online, and they will have to learn all the content from that course in university through some kind of online tool. And most schools are using Moodle. So giving kids that opportunity now to get used to Moodle, get using it, experience some online learning, that's another reason that we're using that. And again, that Skyward doesn't do. Okay, almost over. So where do we find out more about Moodle? Right here, right now. I'm going to stop it there. There's a little bit more about the important bits. So, as I said, Moodle is our online learning platform, and it's a tool for teachers and students to enrich learning that happens in the classroom. And I want to show you the Moodle right now. Raise hands. Anybody still not at this table? No? Okay. They're coming. So, I'm going to log into my Moodle here. Bear with me first, just 1 second, sorry. While I'm doing this, a little bit about what this is. It's Windows Live. This is not Moodle, but what it is a way to connect Moodle to other tools that can enrich learning. And those tools from Windows Live are things like document sharing, photo sharing, document editing. So one of the reasons that you see this Windows Live thing is by using this to help our kids get into Moodle, we can give them a whole bunch of tools that make Moodle better. I'm going to cross my fingers that this works. And so, yeah, so when you log into Moodle, and this is the same for the students and the teachers, they use this Windows Live ID, and I apologize for all this confirm and allow and all this stuff, but this is the Windows side. The first time you log in, it's going to ask you to change your password. Hopefully you've done that today. And then afterwards, it won't ask you the password stuff, but it always asks you if you're sure you want to share. And we're talking to Microsoft about that, about how wise to keep asking that. So hopefully that'll go away one of these days. So here we are in the Moodle, and what you see, or what your students see, and what you see, is in the middle is the sort of the important stuff, and that's the courses that your children are in. And as parents, what we've done is we've enrolled you as parents, and so you can sort of observe those courses. So I have my child is in grade 2, Ms. Duke's class. And so I can see the grade 2 course. I can also see, well, I'm also an administrator, so I have an admin team course. And I'm also head of the IT department, so we have these courses. So I just want to show you. Oh, and also my older child, my fictitious high school child, is in the yearbook course, and so I can see the yearbook course. So, just to give you an example of how Moodle is being used now, and here I can answer another one of these questions about inconsistencies. Because we're all learning Moodle right now, some teachers are using it a lot, and some teachers are not using it very much. And for some grade levels and some teachers, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense. So, for example, grade 2. What we've agreed with grade 2 is that they're going to use Moodle at a very limited level. Second graders shouldn't necessarily be on the internet at home, freely wandering around on Moodle and things like that. So our expectation for second grade students is not very high in terms of Moodle use. And same with kindergarten. Kindergarten teachers are using Moodle exclusively as a parent thing, where they are putting things into the Moodle that you can see about maybe their newsletter or maybe the unit that they're working on right now. Like kindergarten has posted some lessons that they're doing about the letters. Letter T, letter S, letter R, and another letter, M, I think. And so second grade, what they've done is they've posted some links. Like this is a website that is really good for kids. And so they may be using this in their classroom. They'll pull this up in the classroom on the smartboard, and they'll show the kids, here's how you get to Rise Kids, and here's what you can do there. And so they're using that in the classroom, and the kids can access it from home. But you see that what they're posting there is very limited. Because our expectation for second graders is not that they should be online all the time. It's because we don't want that. However, if we have high school kids, our expectations are a little higher because, as I said before, we're trying to get them ready for this online learning environment that they might experience in university. So, high school course like yearbook. One of the other questions was about tech glitches. And I'll say a couple of things about that. One, Moodle is free. And it's an open source piece of software. So it's created by a core team of programmers, and they're from Australia. And then it's developed and made better by people around the world that work for free. So it's not perfect. But when we looked at Blackboard, which was very expensive, and compared it with Moodle, Moodle was actually significantly better in a lot of ways and allows more sharing of more different things. So it's certainly not a perfect product, but it's always improving, and that's one of the things that that we like about it. Part of the thing, though, is that it is on the internet, and so if you're at home and your connection is very slow, then some Moodle pages may be slow, and some Moodle pages may not be. Teachers that post a lot of pictures, that might slow it down a little bit. So because it's a web-based system, it has some issues with slowness, and even on campus we have about 600 students on computers at any given time in the school, and so they experience some slowness because of our network and because of the internet. But overall, I think you'll find, if you remember Blackboard, this is so much better in terms of glitches and things like that. It works so much better. So I just wanted to show you a high school course. This is the yearbook course. And so what we've done with high school teachers and middle school is that Ms. Couturier and Ms. Rotz and I have met with them all and over the last few weeks and come to some agreements. So the English department, for example, they agreed that they would post their syllabus, and they would post homework, and they would post resources for literature, composition, and vocabulary. And so they've come to an agreement. So you should, I think, start to see more consistency between departments. Like if one of your students, or one of your children, is in an English class and your other child's in another English class, you should see sort of a minimum level of Moodle use. And now that does differ for different departments, but it is something that we are addressing and working on, this idea of consistency, because we know that that's important. Especially important for the students. We don't want the students to have to relearn Moodle every time they check a different course. So we're really talking to teachers about being consistent and having some sort of minimums that everybody does, like homework, for example. It is an expectation that every teacher, if they post homework, post it in Moodle. So you should never have to check Skyward for homework. You should never get an email about homework. It should be all posted in the Moodle. And if it's not, then that's a question for the teacher. Why aren't you doing that? Because that is an expectation for every teacher. Now, kindergarten doesn't post homework, so don't expect them to, because they won't. But if they did, or fifth grade, if they post some homework, it will be in Moodle. So, different courses look different, but this is sort of the basic layout of a course. An introduction, something about the course, and then some resources. And that, again, in terms of consistencies, where we are with our learning is right now, teachers know how to make it look like this, and they know how to post resources. And resources include PDF files, Word files, PowerPoints, links to websites, descriptions, like if you look in here, Mr. Doig has posted a description of the unit and the expectations or what they're going to do in this course. Okay, so all the teachers know how to do that. So I think you'll see over the next few weeks, all the teachers will start posting at least some resources, homework, some resources, some handouts, and some other files that they want to share with students. And then a little later I'm going to tell you about where we're sort of going with that. And I think the last thing I wanted to do in terms of showing you this is it's fairly simple. And as we've been learning this with teachers, that's what we hear a lot from the teachers. Well, this is pretty simple. There's the course, and I can put things there to share. And if you're looking at a course and this is what you see, that's it. It's fairly straightforward. And I guess the difference between this and, say, teachers emailing assignments or sending them through Skyward is that you can always go to the course and see the course. All the learning is here, and it's organized in a way that makes sense for the course. It's organized by units. Homework is posted in a clear way. You don't have to check back in your messages. Where does that message? When did I get that? Did I delete that message? So Moodle's a better way to share and collaborate around learning than a messaging system like Skyward or First Class. Okay, so just briefly, how are teachers using Moodle now? Posting homework, posting resources, handouts, PowerPoints, and links, posting assignments and quizzes. That's sort of beginning. Not all teachers are doing that yet. But Moodle does have the capability for a teacher to post an assignment that students can learn right in the Moodle. Like they can read something and click and then go to the next thing, read that, answer something. They can post quizzes where the students can actually type their answers right into Moodle. So the students aren't like typing things in Word and emailing them their answers. They can all be done right within the Moodle. Now, right now, that's not happening with all teachers, but that's somewhere that we're kind of going in the future. And I think you should see that teachers are using it now for posting announcements and reminders. So what will Moodle be used for in the future? Submitting assignments online. If students are writing an essay or paper in Word, they can submit that right into Moodle, and then the teacher has all of that right within their course. And it's fairly easy, it's fairly straightforward for students to do. There's also discussion forums, and this is another piece that when we were closed, when we used Blackboard, that was lacking, that interaction. And one of the things that Moodle does really well is it has some tools that students and teachers can interact online. And there's a chat feature, so they can do synchronous or real-time discussion. And then there's also discussion forums, which, again, Skyward doesn't really do. You know, it's a one-way kind of communication. But a discussion forum in Moodle looks like a teacher can post things, and then students can reply, they can answer, they can comment on each other's answers, and they can have a discussion about a topic. That's happening a little bit already with a few courses, but it's definitely something that we'll be looking at in November, December, and getting into second semester, teaching teachers how to use discussion forums effectively. Oops, right. And also other interactive things like blogs and other ways for students to publish their work that can be done in Moodle. And I guess the other thing I wanted to say about Skyward, I had a lot more to say about Skyward than I thought, is in Skyward, if a student shares something, they share it with the teacher. They can't share it with other students. And so Moodle is a way for students to start sharing their work and giving feedback to each other. And that's a far more effective learning environment than just a one-way teacher-student kind of thing. And where we're really going, that last line there, is we're trying to build a community of learners where the focus is not on the report card necessarily. It's about the learning and the interaction between students.
Michael?
Yes, Dr. Matthews?
I think the other thing is one of the points you made is that we're, you know, of course our mission is
is preparing kids with college prep school for college, and we believe this is the direction of universities worldwide in terms of some online learning. I think there's going to be anyone who's taken a graduate course recently, it's been part of a classroom, real-time stuff, and online. What we're trying to do also, so in the high school this year we implemented an online course. So we're experimenting with that a little bit too. Many schools around the world are beginning to try to see what that looks like for kids and learning. So some of your kids may be involved in our world history online course. We're not planning to go virtual as a school, of course. We believe that kids need to be face-to-face learning, but we are trying some different kinds of things to bring out 21st century skills. So that's also where we're going, but it's not going to go over the top. We're going to have a couple courses each year that are online, just to let you know. With FaceTime within those courses also.
Yeah, and again, getting back to that last line, a community of learners. Our goal is not to, as Dr. Matthews said, our goal is not to have a fully online, AZAR to be a fully online school. That's not the idea. I mean, part of it is, if we were to close, that is there for us. But what we've been talking a lot about as a faculty is about building a blended learning community. And what that means, blended, is the online blended with face-to-face. So the face-to-face interaction is still there. And so students coming to class and still having discussions and still doing all that face-to-face. But that the online environment can supplement that. I mean, for many students, when they're in class and they're working with their friends, or they're talking with their friends, or they're listening to the teacher, maybe it doesn't all sink in. Maybe they don't get everything. So, I mean, Moodle is a great place for teachers to post maybe a tutorial or a video, or even post their lesson. I mean, teachers may start videotaping their own lesson and then posting it in Moodle, so the students can go back to it again, and see that again until they get it, and ask questions through Moodle that they might not want to ask in class. This is the other thing about online environments that's really effective, is students that are very quiet, that in class they don't want to raise their hand and say, no, I don't understand. But in an online environment, they can say to the teacher, they ask a question, and it's private, and they don't have to look silly. So, and that's several ways that we're going to use that idea of blending online with face-to-face. Okay. So, I think I've answered, or at least addressed, part of the issue of Skyward versus Moodle. Tech glitches a little bit. How to make the most of Moodle. Oh, what I did want to say was, if you're using Moodle at home, if you use the Firefox web browser, we're finding that works a lot better. And that's free. You can download that, or ask your children to download that for you. Even if they're in kindergarten, they can probably do it. And Firefox, we're finding, just works a lot better with Moodle. If you have a Macintosh computer, Firefox works better than Safari. And Internet Explorer is fine, but we are finding that Firefox works better. So that's a way to kind of help me think a little bit. Are you putting check marks by the things I've addressed? Done. Inconsistencies, I think I talked about. You can expect a lot more consistency soon, I guess I would say. We're doing a lot of learning about Moodle right now, and having meetings with teachers to come to agreements about what they will all do. And so in the next few months, I think you'll see a lot more uniformity. But still, you'll see some teachers, like, for example, there's a teacher in high school, science teacher, Mr. Harris, and he knows Moodle already. He came from his last school, they use Moodle. So his Moodle page, his Moodle course is very rich. And that's a good thing. I mean, that's an exemplar for us. That's a way for other teachers to see what the possibilities are. But we can't expect all teachers right today to do the same thing as him, because he's already learned it, and he already knows it. But things that we can strive for, certainly. Information from Moodle use. In terms of how you log in and how you get into Moodle and how you use Moodle, you can find out today, you can ask today. We have some things, we have a handout, make sure that you take one of those with you. That also has some information about Skyward, too. And also there's, if you do a Google search on Moodle, you'll find tons of tutorials, how to do things, how to find things. And I think as your children get using it more, if they're in middle and high school, they'll be able to show you a lot about how they're using it and how their teachers are using it. Suggestions for navigation. Oh, fine, that's okay. And logins. So I'm going to sort of close my presentation today and give us an opportunity to try it out. And I'm here as long as you need to work through if you want to log into Moodle and ask some questions. And but before we break up, is there anything else that sort of I haven't addressed that? Yeah. No, it's an excellent question. Thank you for asking that. This gets back to this Skyward versus Moodle thing. So as a parent, what do you need to do? Right? Is that the question? Okay, good. Thank you. Skyward is the place where teachers will send you a message if there is a question for you or an issue for you. It's also the place where you will see their report card. Okay, so if you need to know it, you'll get it from Skyward. Is that clear? Does that make sense? Moodle, actually, a little backstory, a little background here. Most schools that use Moodle, they don't give parents accounts. It's for students. It's for students and teachers to learn and to collaborate around their learning. And what we talked about before starting this year was we think we know a little bit about our parent community. We know that you want to know. And so using Moodle is more of a you want to know. If you want to know what their homework is, yeah, Moodle's that's where you're gonna have to look. If you don't, if you want your children to do it, then that's fine. You don't need to use Moodle at all. It's not something that, well, I'm gonna miss an announcement about a parent day. We won't do that in Moodle. We won't send information through Moodle about this kind of event. That's not what Moodle's for. Moodle's for your children and their teachers to work together. And we have accounts for you to look in, because you want to know, you want to participate. And we know that we are in a partnership. It says right there. A partnership with the community. And so a way for you to participate is to look in the Moodle and ask questions. You know, that's a place where you can see what's going on in the classroom, and then you have some questions that you can ask the teacher or your children. Does that sort of answer a little bit? Okay. Yeah, no, yeah. Yes? Okay. Right. Yeah. Okay. Right. Right, homework hotline. Right. Sure, fair enough. I'm not sure I can answer that right now, but I'm gonna.
What's the question?
The question, Dr. Matthews and for us is, sometimes it's hard to log into the internet. Maybe your internet connection at home is no good. And so having homework in the Moodle is, if you want to check it regularly, then it's difficult. That's, again, tech glitches, if you like. So the question is there another way to find out the homework, if not going into the Moodle?
I'll give you Michael's cell number. 24 hours so that you can log on. No, we will.
Yeah.
That is a good question.
I'll be changing my number. No, it's an excellent question. Ms. France, do you mind? Can you just write that down? Homework hotline. Hopefully I'll remember what that means. Yeah, I don't think I have an answer for that right now, but it's a good question. Yeah. I mean, as a school, we don't want to have a situation where there are 3 places or 4 places to check. You know, I mean, that's frustrating, right? So what we're trying to do is to say, okay, Moodle is the place. Anything that has to do with learning, it's Moodle. And hopefully that simplifies things. But again, that proposes some challenges if your internet's not great. Yeah, a good question. Yes?
The teachers, most kids on the upper grades, they have an agenda, they have a homework, a book where they follow their courses and what they have on day 1 and day 2. And previously they were posting their homework assignments in this book that they bring home every day. So you could just check that. The child would write what the the teacher wrote on the blackboard.
Yeah.
So are they going to continue, will the teachers continue doing that? So if you have a basic idea, you can glance at that book when they come home from school and kind of follow up that they've done it? Or are we going to have to always check online and go through the steps to know for sure that they're getting their homework done and feel confident that...
Right. I'd say, Ms. Myers, I don't know if I can answer for middle school, but I'm pretty sure that's an expectation.
That expectation at middle school is that students do use their agendas every day. Now, of course, whether they're going to bring them home is another thing, but they're also encouraged to bring them home.
Yeah.
So maybe you have a 50-50 chance, either your internet's up and you can look there, or they did bring their agenda home and you can look
Right.
there.
Yeah, I would say the agenda book's a good fallback for that. In the high school, if your internet is not great at home, and then your child would know that, right? So if they know they can't check at home, then they need to write it down. Yeah. No, I understand. It's a tech. Yeah. Right. Sure.
I didn't hear elementary, we didn't hear dance here in terms
Oh,
of...
yes, Ms. Young. Anything about homework?
Our expectation is that they write it down, and that the backup is, if parents need to, is to check the homework. So we have both.
Yeah.
Both systems, both expectations. Part of that is the habit of them getting to be responsible, take responsibility for their tasks,
Right.
and then the parent can follow up by checking
Yeah.
closely.
Yeah. And I like the idea of a tech system and then a non-tech system, as a fallback. That's a good idea. In my head, I'm trying to think of another way we could do it, online, but that defeats the purpose of it. So, yes. Yeah. I'm not sure that there is an answer for that, really. I mean, living in Saudi Arabia, using the internet is a bit of a challenge. It tends to be very busy around the 7 to midnight sort of time, which is when you want to check your homework, right? Firefox, if you use that, I think you'll find actually speed is better. Internet connections, I know, are getting cheaper and better. I know on our compound they offered twice the speed for half the price this year. So upgrading your internet connection, yeah. I would guess if you used Firefox, then you might see some improvement. And also your computer, that's a factor too. If your computer is just older and slower, then there's that too. And netbooks are getting to be fairly inexpensive. And Moodle looks pretty good on an iPad too, or even on a phone. Actually, this is one of the reasons that Moodle is so popular with universities is that looking at Moodle on an iPhone or a BlackBerry is really great. And so students checking their homework on their phone, if they're in high school, because we see them. Every kid in high school's got a BlackBerry. And they can do that on their phone. They can do it on their phone.
They're checking their homework.
No, they don't. They could. They certainly could.
Michael?
Yes? Okay. Yep, good questions. I'll do the Skyward one first, if you don't mind. So the way Skyward works is, if you go into Skyward and you look at your child's schedule, you should see the names of all the teachers. And if you click that, Skyward will send an email to their email inbox. So they don't have to go check Skyward for that message, it goes to their email. If they, in turn, go to Skyward and they find your name, they click it, it will send a message to your email address, your Gmail, Hotmail, whatever you've given us. And we keep that in Skyward. And you can, if you log into Skyward, you can see which email is there. You can edit that yourself. If you change your email or you want to update it or change it, it's fine. So, does that answer that? Okay, so Skyward messaging, even though it's sort of via Skyward, it goes to email addresses. Okay? So you don't have to check Skyward to see if you have a message. Correct. Yeah. And then, I mean, an example of that is when we send an email about PTSO coffee through Skyward, you get it in your email, right? Yeah. Okay. Something like that.
So if, again, if there's a problem with that, our tech people are here, they can check your accounts right now to make sure we have your proper email, of course your phone number, so please just drop by, say hi to Josie Ann, and check that information. Because if you're not receiving information from us, it means that we may not have the right email account in our system.
Right.
Okay?
Now, the other part of the question is, I'll answer two things. Skyward, the fathers and mothers both have Skyward accounts. But it doesn't matter which one you use, you should see all your children in Skyward. There's a little drop down, and you pick your kid, and then you see them. Moodle, what we did first was we said, okay, we're going to give an account to all the guardians. But those tend to be dads in our system. And so we were getting a lot of calls from moms saying, well, I can't log in. So there is a father account and a mother account in Moodle. But it doesn't matter which one you use. You will see all your children's courses together. So you don't have to log in for every kid, it's all together.
But in most systems, they have homework and they want to work both at the same time. In the house, they can log in into the same account at the same time.
Oh, no, that's a different question. Your children each have their own account. Your account, you actually can't do homework and all that stuff in Moodle. If you log into Moodle, you're just looking, you're just reading, browsing. But your children, each of them, and we got them even for kindergarten kids if they want them, they each have their own account, and that allows them to participate. Download things, upload things, participate in forums and discussions.
So when the children's account go live in elementary school, we're going to get a teacher, or they're already live?
They're all already live. What we're doing with the elementary kids is teaching them how to use them and then giving them to them.
Michael, I'm worried about our time.
Okay.
Some people will be picking up kindergarten kids.
Sure.
Do you need to share any other information? Because we can do individual questions. Michael, Holly, a couple of us will be here for individual questions. So
Yeah, that's I think all I had for today. And so, but if you want to stay and make sure you can log in and double check your account, that's what we're here for. So I'm gonna they can clap for me first. Okay, but after you clap, thank you very much. Thank you.
twice a week.
Thank you.